6 million square kilometers. That's the size of the lungs of our planet. But beneath the emerald canopy of the Amazon rainforest lies something far more ancient, far more mysterious than the trees themselves. The indigenous Kayapo people have a word for it, Mebengokra, the place where the earth dreams. They understood what science is only beginning to glimpse. The Amazon isn't just alive on the surface, it's alive all the way down. 65 million years ago, this land told a different story. No trees, no rivers as we know them today. Just the dying gasps of the age of giants, and beneath the surface, something waiting to be born. The story begins not with life, but with death. The Cretaceous period is ending, and South America is an island continent, slowly drifting toward its collision with North America. The land that will become the Amazon basin is a vast inland sea, its waters warm and teeming with marine reptiles the size of school buses. But below the seafloor, in the darkness where no photosynthesis has ever reached, something remarkable is happening. Bacteria, the true architects of our world, are laying the foundation for what will become the most complex underground network on Earth. These microorganisms don't know they're creating the infrastructure for the greatest biological highway system ever evolved. They're simply surviving, one chemical reaction at a time. But their waste products, their fossilized bodies, their metabolic pathways, they're writing the code for life forms that won't exist for millions of years. Meet Titanoboa, 42 feet long, weighing over a ton. She is the queen of the post-extinction world, slithering through swampy forests where palm trees tower 130 feet into the sky. The year is 58 million years ago, and the Earth is running a fever. Global temperatures hover near 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Titanoboa doesn't know she's living above a revolution. Beneath her massive coils, in the root systems of ancient palms, something unprecedented is happening. Plants and fungi are learning to talk. The mycorrhizal networks, fungal threads thinner than spider silk, are beginning to connect plant to plant, tree to tree. Chemical messages flow through these living cables, warnings about herbivores, requests for nutrients, offers of trade. It's the birth of the Wood Wide Web, though it won't earn that name for another 57 million years, and it's happening right here, in the soil that will one day support the Amazon. 23 million years ago, the architects arrive. The Andes are rising. Slowly, inexorably, the collision between the Nazca and South American plates is pushing rock skyward, grain by grain, millennia by millennia. As the mountains grow, they capture moisture from the Atlantic, and the first true Amazon River begins to carve its way eastward. But the real story is happening underground. The rising mountains are creating pressure changes that awaken something in the deep rock layers, vast aquifers that have been sleeping since the Cretaceous seas drained away. Water begins to move, not just the surface flow we see, but a hidden river system larger than any above-ground waterway. The Alta de Chaux aquifer system stretches beneath the Amazon basin like a liquid continent, holding more fresh water than all the Great Lakes combined. Follow a single drop of rainwater as it begins its journey into the earth. Past the surface roots, past the first layer of soil, down into the realm of the soil microbiome, the most densely populated ecosystem on the planet. In just 1 teaspoon of Amazon soil, there are more living organisms than there are people on Earth. They're not just surviving down here. They're collaborating on a scale that makes human civilization look like a child's sandbox. Bacteria trade genes like currency. Fungi extend their networks across continents. Archaea, Those ancient single-celled organisms that predate complex life itself continue to process chemicals in ways that keep the entire system running. They're not just recycling nutrients, they're actively regulating the chemistry of the atmosphere above. Amazon's reputation as the lungs of the earth? It's not just about the trees, it's about the quadrillion microorganisms beneath them, fine-tuning the gas exchanges that keep our planet habitable. The climate is changing, not gradually, catastrophically. A massive ice age is beginning to grip the planet, and the Amazon is under siege. As global temperatures plummet, the rainforest begins to fragment. What was once a continuous canopy becomes isolated islands of green, separated by expanding grasslands and scrublands. Most surface species face extinction, but beneath the ground something remarkable is happening. The mycorrhizal networks, built over millions of years, become lifelines. Even as trees disappear from the surface, their root systems remain connected through the fungal web. The forest is going into hibernation, but it's not dying, it's waiting. In the deep soil layers, refugees from the surface world find sanctuary, seeds that can remain viable for centuries, fungal spores that can survive ice ages, bacterial communities that have weathered every mass extinction since the dawn of complex life. They're not just waiting passively, they're evolving. In the darkness, isolated populations are developing new chemical defenses, new symbiotic relationships, new strategies for survival that will prove crucial when the ice retreats. Among them are the ancestors of some of the Amazon's most extraordinary species, the precursors to plants that will one day produce medicines capable of treating cancer, depression, and diseases not yet discovered. The genetic templates for trees that will grow 200 feet tall and live for 1,000 years. All of this diversity, this potential, is being forged in the underground darkness of an ice age by organisms too small to see with the naked eye. The ice retreats, and the Amazon begins its resurrection. But this isn't simply a return to what was before. The underground networks have been evolving, growing more sophisticated, more interconnected. As trees reclaim the surface, they plug back into a fungal internet that has become more complex, more efficient than anything that existed before the Ice Age. The Amazon that emerges is not just a forest, it's a superorganism. Today, the Amazon contains more species than anywhere else on Earth. But that's just what we can see. Below ground, the diversity is even more staggering. Scientists estimate that 80% of the Amazon's biomass exists below the surface. The trees we marvel at are just the visible tips of living icebergs that extend their root systems hundreds of feet into the earth. The mycorrhizal networks have become so sophisticated that they can redirect nutrients from healthy trees to sick ones, coordinate forest-wide responses to droughts, and even send chemical warnings about insect attacks across miles of forest floor. But the deepest mystery lies in the bedrock itself. In 2018, scientists drilling core samples discovered something unprecedented: living bacteria in rock formations 13,000 feet below the surface. Bacteria that have been cut off from the surface world for millions of years, yet continue to thrive in conditions that would kill almost any other form of life. They survive on energy from radioactive decay, processing chemicals in ways we're only beginning to understand. They represent a form of life so alien, so removed from everything we consider normal, that some scientists wonder if they're the descendants of Earth's very first living organisms. These aren't just bacteria, they're the foundation upon which everything else rests. They've been here since before the Amazon, before the Atlantic Ocean, before complex life itself. They are the planet's memory, encoded in living stone. The Amazon isn't just a collection of trees and animals. It's a single, integrated organism, stretching from the bedrock to the clouds. Every raindrop that falls, every leaf that decays, every breath of oxygen released into the atmosphere is part of a conversation that began millions of years ago and continues in languages we're only beginning to decode. The indigenous peoples knew this. Their creation stories speak of the forest as a living entity, one that must be respected and protected not just for what it gives us, but for what it is, the circulatory system of a living planet. The answer depends on how we define life itself. If life is just individual organisms competing for resources, then no, it's just soil and rock and water. But if life is connection, cooperation, communication across time and space, if life is the ability to respond, to adapt, to nurture the conditions for future generations, then yes. The Amazon isn't just alive, it's more alive than we ever imagined, and it's been dreaming, evolving, and preparing for futures we can't yet comprehend, all while we've been focused on the sunlight dancing through the canopy above. The question isn't whether it's alive. The question is, are we listening to what it's trying to tell us?